Now recognize gentleman from Colorado, Mr. Tipton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Sherman, for being here. Appreciate seeing you again. Want to go on maybe a little bit of a different track here. It's in regards to some of the leasing that we're having in the Forest Services right now. No surface occupancy lease are the gold standard for environmental protection. They prohibit the leasee from disturbing essentially even a spoonful of dirt on the surface. NSO leases are more protective than any past, present, or future roadless rule, including those in Colorado roadless rule. But the Forest Service is still refusing to offer the NSO leases and offering leases in the most restrictive environmental process possible. Can you explain why?
Congressman, I'm not intimately familiar with this situation, but it's my understanding that the Colorado, and I've had to recuse myself from implementation of the Colorado rules since I was one of the authors of it prior to coming to Washington. But my understanding is that the Forest Service and the Department of Agriculture have released a proposed Colorado roadless rule, which is out for public comment now, and I think the comment period ends in July, whereupon a final Colorado roadless rule will be issued. It is my understanding that the administration did not want to do anything relative to these particular leases until there had been final action with the Colorado roadless rule. But I have not been involved in that, and I've had to recuse myself from that particular issue.
Okay, I guess just as a little bit of a follow-up on that in terms of the policy of the Forest Service, we'd received a letter from Deputy Secretary Jensen, who wrote me a letter and said that the Forest Service was not going to offer any NSO leases in the Colorado roadless area, which you're just speaking to, because it wasn't finalized. And the Forest Service has concerns with consistency between the NSO oil and gas leases and the proposed rule. That position actually seems basically irrational, because an NSO lease doesn't allow any disturbance in a roadless area at all anyway. So any development of an NSO lease must be done from directional well drilling paths somewhere else. Where is the consistency in terms of the problem when there is no way that an NSO lease can disturb the roadless area?
Yeah. Congressman, if you would permit us, I would like to ask Deputy Undersecretary Jensen to get in touch with you directly and to go over the specifics of this, and I'm sure we can get you an answer as soon as possible.
You know, I'd really appreciate that. You know, a lot of the issue, and I know you're well aware of this in Colorado, and particularly the 3rd Congressional District, we have reported unemployment in double digits. Mesa County, as an example, had the highest unemployment rate per capita in the entire United States at one point last year. A lot of our public lands on the western slope of Colorado, 70% of our lands are public BLM Forest Service lands, native lands as well. And the Forest Service and the BLM used to have that policy of land of many uses, yours to enjoy. And it seems that we're getting incredibly restrictive in terms of responsible development of these resources, and I would really appreciate the follow-up on that. We've got to be able to get our people back to work, and we're going to play a critical role in our nation's future with the development of these resources. You know, when we're talking a little bit about some of the bark beetle damage that is out there, can you maybe give us an idea of what the Forest Service is doing very proactively to allow private sector people to be able to get in and harvest the down timber and the dying timber?
The Forest Service is working with a wide variety of people and companies to come into bark beetle infested areas and to harvest this wood where possible. One of our problems, quite frankly, as you well know, is to ensure that we have a viable timber industry that can process this material. I know the Montrose Mill in Colorado is extremely important to the future restorations of Colorado.
And that's in receivership right now. One of the issues that we've had, and if you could maybe let us know on this as well, are some of the contracts for being able to harvest that timber the contracts were based on prices when the economy was moving, and we now need to be able to address that because it's simply, particularly with fuel costs now skyrocketing as well, the ability to be able to deliver that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
If I could just quickly
Please.
respond, Mr. Chairman, we have been working very diligently with the receiver to review all of their contracts to see where we can modify those contracts. In fact, we have made a number of modifications, but it's our hope that we can provide a stable, long-term supply of timber to that mill and keep that mill going, because again, it's important for that community, and Colorado cannot effectively restore its forest without having mills in operation.
Thank you.